This is All Clear Firefighter Wellness, where we help you light your fire within. Wellness, I'm Travis. Good to have you here with us today. Today we're going to talk about a topic that's very important to the fire service, and it's one that's very near and dear to me and our nonprofit, the North Carolina Firefighter Cancer Alliance. Cancer in the fire service is an issue that cannot be ignored. Every firefighter knows the dangers of their job. We train for fires, hazardous materials incidents, we train for rescues, we train for lots of things. But one silent, invisible threat is claiming the lives of too many of our brothers and sisters too quickly. Cancer. Now, this isn't just a health topic, it's a life and death issue. We need to talk about the realities of cancer in the fire service. The North Carolina Firefighter Cancer Alliance, we always talk about the fact that action is number one. Numbers are okay, but action is the key. Studies show that firefighters are significantly more likely to develop certain cancers as compared to the general population. The IAFF in one study cites cancer as the leading cause of firefighter deaths. And when we look at the numbers, they are staggering. Things such as testicular cancer. Firefighters face a risk of 2.2 times more than the general population for developing testicular cancer. Things like non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and multiple myeloma. We have a 1.5 times higher ratio of getting this compared to the general public. How about prostate cancer? Men, we have a 1.28 times higher potential of getting it because we're in the fire service. Women, you don't escape either. You have increased overall cancer rates, increased cervical cancer rates, all types of things that are specific to you as well. But you may ask, why do we see cancer as a problem? Well, it's got to do with all the toxic things we face on every call. Burning plastics, synthetic materials, treated wood, fire retardant materials. Believe it or not, when they burn, they're some of the worst. There are more and more of these new things we see, and each of these create carcinogens that don't just vanish. They continue going even after the fire is out. They cling to our gear, our skin, and they can even linger in our stations. Everywhere we go now is a hazmat scene. Think about it. If you went to a dumpster fire behind your local Stop and Rob, convenience store, as my chief used to call them, what was it 20 years ago? It may have been some trash, maybe some old food, some paper, maybe a little bit of wood, a busted up pallet. But think about what might be in that dumpster now in 2024, 2025. It could be anything from paint thinner, chemicals, it could be plastics. All these things, once they start burning, truly cause a hazmat scene, even with a simple dumpster fire. Understanding the risk is very important. So once we understand risk, we can take action. Now, here are 5 actionable steps that every firefighter can take right now to reduce exposure and to protect yourself and also to protect your crew. The first thing, and it's free and one of the easiest, always wear your mask. Always wear your SCBA. Once the flames are out, we might have the tendency to want to take it off, especially during overhaul. But honestly, overhaul is one of the most dangerous phases of firefighting when it comes to cancer exposure. Even when the fire has been extinguished, toxic particles, carcinogens, they stay airborne. There are chemicals like benzene, formaldehyde, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, PAHs, if you remember all the way back to your hazmat chemistry days. All of these things can be inhaled or, more scary, absorbed through your skin. Toxic gases and microscopic soot particles are invisible threats. And when we inhale them without our mask on, this increases our risk of cancer dramatically. It's simple. Keep your mask on throughout overhaul. Even if the fire is out and the air looks good, make it your rule and try to push and see if you can normalize it with your crew and with your station. Make it a practice. Leave your mask on as much as possible. And just remember, guys, it's okay to not look cool when you're wearing your mask during overhaul. When you're different, other people will be different eventually too. Now, the second thing we can do is decontaminate immediately. After we leave the fire ground, the contaminants on our gear and skin will continue to put us at risk. Even a small delay in decontamination allows carcinogens to absorb into the skin, especially in areas with high blood flow, like your neck, your wrist, and your groin. Studies have shown that dermal absorption of carcinogens is one of the leading routes of exposure in firefighters. Sweating during a fire increases the permeability of our skin, making it even easier for toxins to enter our body. In fact, as your temperature rises, so does your absorption rate. So what can we do about it? Well, first thing, use decon wipes on your face, your neck, your arms, and hands as soon as you can, or baby wipes, whatever you want to call them. Also, wash down your gear on scene. That is so simple. Get the hose out, hose your gear down, soap it up if you got a little bit of Dawn or a little bit of Tide with you. And when you get back to the station, prioritize showering within 1 hour of exposure if possible. The shower within the hour policy can also drastically reduce your risk. And encourage your crew to adopt these habits as a standard part of post-fire routines for you. Now, on our website, NorthCarolinaFirefighterCancer.org, you can also go to our YouTube page, which you can get to through allclearpodcast.com. We have a video that's called the Concord Decon Model, and that is a more in-depth look at a lot of these ways that you can pretty much for free decon your gear. Now, while we're talking about decon, you got to clean your gear regularly. This is our third point. Turnout gear, helmets, boots, gloves, they're our first line of defense when it comes to fire. But they can also become your biggest hazard if you don't keep them clean. Contaminants, like we talked about, can cling to our gear long after the fire is out, and this creates a prolonged exposure to these carcinogens. Now, for years, dirty gear was like a badge of honor. The dirtier, the nastier, the cooler you were, and the more effective you were as a firefighter. But now we realize it's really a hazard. Studies have shown that dirty gear contains carcinogenic particles that can rub off on our skin or be inhaled during routine handling. What can we do about it? Well, the first thing we can do, use dedicated washing machines designed for bunker gear to remove residue. Best thing you can do. You can almost get it back to the point it was before it went into service. The second thing we can do is avoid cross-contamination. We need to store our dirty gear in a designated area away from our living spaces and never transport it in your personal vehicle. If you have to change stations or if you're a volunteer, put it in some type of containment, whether it be a Rubbermaid bin or whether it be a bag that properly seals to put your gear in. Do this because your kids ride in that car with you. Your spouse rides in that car with you. You want to protect yourself and them as best you can. Now, what else can you do? Well, if your department has the resources, invest in a second set of gear. Now, this allows for a rotation. While one set's being cleaned, you've got another set ready to go. You know you're protected. Now, that could sound like a budget breaker for some departments, but a few common size extra sets will go a long way in handling that situation if and when it comes up. Now, the fourth thing that we can do is think about the cleanliness of the air in our stations. Our station is meant to be a safe haven, but contaminants can follow you back and linger for a long time in the air. Things such as diesel exhaust and smoke residue, even improperly ventilated equipment can contribute to a toxic environment right there in the station where you spend a significant portion of your time. Now, the NFPA has identified that diesel exhaust is a group 1 carcinogen. What does that mean? Well, that means prolonged exposure to it in poorly ventilated areas poses a significant risk of cancer. Well, what do we do about it? Well, we can install systems such as Plum Event, exhaust removal systems in the bays to prevent diesel fumes from seeping into the common areas, help keep it from settling on our clean gear that we may be storing in there. We also need to prohibit storing contaminated gear in sleeping quarters, kitchens, day rooms, offices, places like that. Also, maintain proper ventilation and filtration to help reduce harmful particles, especially during the cleaning process. When you're cleaning dirty gear, you should always wear proper respiratory protection, eye protection, and wear gloves. You'd be amazed at what a difference medical gloves can make in the cleanup process. Now, the fifth point, this is one that is kind of outside of what you may think about. Now, we have to educate. Now, firefighters by nature we're doers, but education is the first step to action. We have to educate ourselves before we can do something about it. Understanding the risk and solutions empower us to take care of our health and to protect our crew. Advocacy can also lead to station-wide or department-wide changes that prioritize safety. Now, many firefighters still aren't fully aware of the cancer risk that they face or the cheap to free steps they can take to reduce their exposures. The lack of knowledge contributes to preventable deaths. That's the bottom line. We can do things such as sharing information, raising awareness with our crews about the risk of cancer in the fire service and what practical steps we can take and what strategies we can do to reduce our exposure. We can do things like push for resources, ask for additional funding for critical safety tools, the second sets of gear, decon units, advanced air filtration systems, and there are grants that are available to help out with these things too. So don't think it's totally an uphill battle. Now, another very important thing we can do is participate in training. Many organizations around the country talk about cancer in the fire service, but I'm going to focus on ours, the North Carolina Firefighter Cancer Alliance. We offer education programs and resources to help departments around the country, not just here in North Carolina, to tackle this issue. Now, in addition to being educated, be the man. Be a role model. Lead by example. When others see you taking these steps seriously, they're more likely to follow suit. So when you wear your mask, yeah, you may look like a dork during overhaul, but guess what? You're going to help other people see that it's okay to wear your mask as well and be safe. So by following these steps, firefighters can significantly reduce their exposure to carcinogens and improve their long-term health. Now, small, consistent changes in habits and policies can save lives. Now, what do we do for those who are affected? At some point in your career, you are going to, hopefully not you, but you're going to find someone who is battling cancer or have received a diagnosis. And you're going to find out that they have brothers and sisters in the fire service, family members that also are involved as well. They're supporting them during their time of recovery. Now, our organization, North Carolina Firefighter Cancer Alliance, is here to help. We can provide education, resources, and more important, peer support. If you or someone you know needs help, reach out to them and reach out to us, ncfirefightercancer.org, allclearpodcast.com. Go to those websites. You can contact us right through there, and we'll be more than happy to do what we can. In closing, firefighters are known for their selflessness, their bravery, their ability to face danger head on. But remember this, bravery doesn't mean ignoring risk we can prevent. Let me say that again. Bravery doesn't mean ignoring risk we can prevent. Now, taking cancer in the fire service seriously is about protecting the protectors. It's about defending the heroes. It's about ensuring you're there for your family, your crew, and your community for many years to come. So let's commit to change today. Let's be the generation that turns the tide on cancer in our profession. Well, again, thank you for joining me for another episode of All Clear. Today we've had a call to action. If you found this episode helpful, share it with your crew, share it with your station, share it with your community. Share it with those that make decisions about your budget to help you get the gear you need. Together we can make a difference when it comes to cancer in the fire service. And until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and remember, light your fire within. You have been listening to All Clear Firefighter Wellness. All Clear is presented by the North Carolina Firefighter Cancer Alliance. You can find out more about us at allclearpodcast.com. Leave us a message. We'd love to hear from you. If you like what you hear, tell someone. All opinions expressed on the podcast do not always reflect the opinions of the podcast. As always, light your fire within. Do you have an idea that you can't quite get out of your head and onto paper? Does your department need updated shirts? If so, you need to talk to the guys over at Studio Print Shop. We've been working with the guys at Studio on making some of our ideas become reality. Whether you need screen printing, embroidery, or graphic design, they have you covered. They're even working with the latest direct-to-garment printing technology to make your ideas come true. Check out their link on our website or go to studioprintshop.com and get 10% off your first order when you use the discount code ALLCLEAR. Studio Print Shop, creativity fueled by passion and vision.